I was captive for 6 months and in the jungles of Colombia. And at the first 15 days I was in a cave, tied up with a hood over my head, in a cave that was infested with spiders and bats and all kinds of jungle animals, so to say, and bitten by so many different types of snakes. And it was a miracle I survived just the 15 days in the cave. And on the day 15, I was sentenced to death. They told me I was not going to make it out alive, and I was to pay a very high ransom. And after I paid the money, they will kill me. So they threw me back in that cave and told me the next day they would transfer me somewhere else. And that night, I found myself completely destroyed as a human being. I was turned to ashes, to pieces, because there was nothing left in my life. I was like dead alive. I was like just waiting to be killed one day, and that was it. My life was over. And so I began to have an experience that lasted all night long. And it was, in the beginning, we could call it like an illumination of my conscience, which we all go through when we are agonizing, when we're dying. I saw my whole life from childhood on, and since, and it covered up. I was 47 years old, and I could see it being awake and conscious, and I could see my whole life, little by little. I was sure I was dying, because that was a horrifying experience at first. I thought I was hallucinating. I thought I had fever, but it wasn't. It was my life. Then after that, I had like a trial of my life before the Lord Jesus. It absolutely changed my life forever. So I was never the same person after that night. So when I was set free, I knew it was a miracle. And I went back to California, because I used to live in California, and went back to the Catholic Church, spent about 2 years where I didn't share it with anyone. I thought it was a big secret between God and me. But later on, like 2 years later, during a Holy Week, on Palm Sunday Mass at noon, the Lord manifested to me His will as far as me sharing everything I went through with Him and everything He showed me. So I left everything, walked away from my career, and founded a mission called Pilgrims of Love. And that's what I have been doing for 13 years.
What have you learned about God's grace in your life?
I can say that God is mercy and love, and He created us to bring us home. You know, this is the beginning of an eternal journey, and we are like in a spiritual gestation, like in the womb of this flesh. And I think God is so merciful that this is what He has shown me. He has rescued me from sin, from eternal damnation, because I was going there, straight there. And He has sent me back to share this with everyone, because He wants everyone home. And this is what I have as an experience with God, a God of mercy and compassion. He opens up this incredible opportunity of being part of His creation. And then when God calls you and asks you to choose, and you have been around like I have, you know, testing and tasting the wines of the world, and then you have also tasted the wine of God, which is so difficult because it's not exactly as sweet as you expect it to be, and what gives you the pleasures that you are, you know, always looking for in this life. Then I guess that is the calling that is hard to take. That's what I did. You know, I went for the wine of God, and it's not an easy drink.
What challenges have you faced since coming back to God?
The challenge of giving up all the things that I really like so much. You know, I was a man that was very worldly, into pleasures and money and fame, and I was very much a materialistic person. Though I felt I was very deep and spiritual, because I practiced so many, so to say, spiritualities, and giving up all of that was difficult, because you get so attached to all of this, and also somehow addicted and dependent. So it wasn't easy, but and also to be faithful, to be obedient, to sacrifice yourself in order to obey God, it's not easy because God apparently, is not there. When you are willing to do something that is against Him, He disappears from your conscience. And so it's so easy to sin. It's so easy to go against God. But then to learn how to be aware of His presence permanently and to obey, not because He is not visible, but because you want to obey and you believe that that is the way to go.